Hello, friends. Today's movie recap is going to be so intense your head will spin because your fault isn't just about romance. It's about love coming back when it shouldn't, and the kind of secrets that can destroy lives overnight. It starts at an airport with Noah trying to breathe normally because she knows Nick might be at her best friend's wedding. One accidental glimpse of his photo hits like a punch, and suddenly the past is wide awake again. Then a charming stranger named Simon steps in, flirting fast, offering a new beginning. But Noah's heart is still chained to the one person who hurt her most. At the wedding, one dance turns into a relapse, one night turns into a ticking time bomb, and what follows is a storm of jealousy, public scandals, ruthless power plays, and a secret pregnancy that changes everything. And just when you think it's over, it becomes a fight for survival. Let's start, friends. Hello, friends. The third part of the Your Fault story continues the romance with a focus on unfinished feelings, bruised pride, and the way attraction can return even after a breakup has left real damage behind. The film begins with Noah at an airport, carrying travel papers and moving through the crowd with a controlled expression. She is traveling because her best friend Jenna is about to get married, and Noah wants to stand beside her during the ceremony. Still, the trip does not feel simple. Noah suspects Nick will be invited too, and the thought of seeing him again tightens her chest before the plane even takes off. And before boarding, Noah flips through a booklet at the gate and suddenly sees Nick's photograph printed on a page. The image appears like a sharp reminder placed in her path. She refuses to let it open a full flashback. Instead, she forces her mind forward, treating the past as something sealed away. The choice looks calm from the outside, but it costs effort because her history with Nick is tied to the body as much as the mind. She boards the plane determined to arrive with a smile, even if she has to force it. Bond is on the flight. Noah finds her seat beside a young man named Simon. In the small chaos of settling in, she accidentally spills coffee onto his pants. Simon does not react with anger. He treats the accident like a harmless joke and begins speaking to her with easy confidence. His attention is openly flirtatious, and he seems interested in Noah's looks as much as her personality. Noah answers briefly, keeps a polite distance, and turns her attention toward the aisle, the window, and anything that keeps the conversation from becoming personal. Dom-Ju, after the plane lands, Simon approaches Noah again near the exit of the airport. He asks for her phone number almost immediately, pushing for closeness too fast. Noah refuses, unwilling to hand over access to her life. Simon softens his approach and explains that he will be staying in the city for a few days, so they might cross paths again anyway. He suggests that if they meet again, they should go for coffee. Noah offers a vague agreement just to end the moment without an argument. Then outside the terminal, Jenna arrives, glowing with excitement and nervous energy. She hugs Noah tightly and begins listing plans, schedules, and small surprises she has prepared. Jenna has arranged every detail of the wedding week, and she feels proud that everything is coming together. Noah tries to match Jenna's happiness, but she quickly asks the question she has been carrying since the airport. She asks whether Nick will attend. Jenna confirms that Nick is expected because both Noah and Nick are part of her closest circle, and she wants her wedding to include everyone she loves. The next day, Noah gets ready for a pre-wedding gathering. When she enters the event space, she spots Nick arriving. The sight hits her like a wave, mixing desire, annoyance, and vulnerability. She hides for a moment, breathing through the shock, then returns and acts as if nothing is wrong. Throughout the gathering, she keeps watching Nick. Nick looks calm and confident, but he avoids meeting her eyes, as if ignoring her is a deliberate choice. Noah feels hurt by the distance and also embarrassed by how strongly she still reacts. Noah talks with other guests to distract herself. Nick approaches the man she is speaking with and begins a conversation there, close enough to make Noah feel crowded, yet still refusing to address her directly. Later, when the group organizes transportation to the wedding venue, Noah and Nick cross paths again. Nick walks past her with cool detachment and does not pause. The rejection stings, and Noah's frustration grows because she cannot tell whether he is punishing her, protecting himself, or simply pretending she does not exist. Banned because of the travel arrangements, Noah ends up sharing a car ride with Nick on the way to the venue. The drive becomes tense and quiet. Their bodies remain separate, yet their attention keeps drifting toward each other in quick glances. Nick notices that Noah is still wearing the necklace he once gave her, a small sign that she kept something from their past. The detail awakens his own desire, and he fights to keep it hidden behind a neutral face. Noah feels the same heat rising, but pride keeps her silent. They arrive without saying the words both of them are swallowing. Jonda at the destination, Jenna and Lynn begin rehearsing the ceremony. The group practices entrances, positions, and timing, and everyone is assigned responsibilities to keep the day smooth. Noah and Nick receive roles that require them to stay near each other as part of the wedding party, which forces them into shared space again and again. Each small movement feels charged, even when they pretend it is ordinary. That night, dinner places them close once more. Noah tries to speak casually, hoping to break the ice, but Nick redirects his attention toward Luca and keeps conversation there. After dinner, the celebration continues with music and dancing. Noah and Nick keep stealing glances across the room, each pretending it means nothing. The next day, the wedding takes place. Jenna and Lynn are radiant, filled with excitement as they exchange rings and commit to supporting each other. The ceremony ends happily, and the reception begins with laughter, speeches, and dancing. Guests tease the newlyweds about their future adventures and private plans, and the party atmosphere lowers inhibitions across the room. During the reception, Noah and Nick end up dancing together. At first, it looks like polite performance for the crowd, but the moment their hands meet, the old electricity returns. Their bodies remember what their minds try to deny. They struggle to stay composed, yet the tension becomes unbearable. They slip away into a quieter room, away from noise and eyes. There, restraint collapses. Fifferfeast restraint tenings. They kiss and fall into a private reunion, repeating the intimacy they once shared, driven by longing, familiarity, and the comfort of something that still feels like home. When the moment is over, reality returns sharply. Noah wants more than a brief relapse. She wants a future with Nick that is not poisoned by old resentment, and she needs him to forgive past mistakes so they can move forward. Nick cannot offer that kind of clean forgiveness. Pride and fear still hold him, and he cannot easily release the hurt that shaped their breakup. Instead of staying to face the conversation, he withdraws and leaves Noah behind, turning silence into his answer and leaving her to rebuild herself alone. After the wedding events settle, Noah forces herself to regain control. She throws her energy into practical survival, searching for work and taking short jobs while she looks for something stable. During this phase, she suffers an accident that leaves her injured, sending her to a hospital for bandaging and treatment. In the same hospital setting, the story introduces Michael, who is dealing with professional consequences. Michael's boss reviews negative university reports and implies that Michael's past actions may disqualify him from continuing at the hospital, leaving him stunned and discouraged. Nick returns to his corporate world where meetings focus on money, risk, and survival. His team worries that business is not running smoothly, and Nick tries to project confidence even while pressure builds. He decides that investing in an artificial intelligence company connected to metaverse-style technology could create profit and momentum. The decision looks strategic, but it also feels like an attempt to distract himself with control and ambition, because numbers are easier to manage than longing. Sumbers are easier for us, but per sure. Noah continues driving across the city for interviews. At a traffic light, she notices a man watching her and, annoyed, flashes a rude gesture before driving away. She does not realize the man is Simon. Soon after, Noah interviews at an AI company and discovers that the boss she is meeting is Simon himself. Simon recognizes her from the plane and also remembers the traffic light encounter, and the coincidence amuses him. Noah feels awkward and worries she has embarrassed herself in front of a potential employer. She leaves uncertain, torn between pride and the practical need for work. The film then shows Nick living with Sophia, his personal lawyer who has also become his partner. Their relationship appears comfortable and routine, shaped by shared space and habit. Sophia asks about the wedding and whether Noah was there. Nick admits Noah was present but minimizes the emotional impact, hiding the truth behind a calm mask. Alone, he cannot hide it from himself. He repeatedly looks at Noah's photo with a restless expression, missing her more than he admits, and feeling caught between the life he has chosen and the love that still pulls at him. Noah, unable to find better work elsewhere, eventually returns to Simon's office and accepts the job. Simon is pleased to have her close, and his interest becomes obvious beneath professional friendliness. Noah tries to keep boundaries, but she senses that Simon wants more than cooperation and work. At the same time, Nick's longing grows sharper. He misses Noah intensely, caught between pride, guilt, and desire, and his thoughts keep circling her even when he forces himself to focus on business. The story is no longer only about a past romance, it becomes about pressure, temptation, and choice. At Simon's office, Noah enters a world that feels polished and modern, full of screens, meetings, and ambitious talk about products that will shape how people live online. Simon acts professional in front of staff, yet his attention keeps returning to Noah in small ways, as if he is testing how close he can stand and how long he can hold her gaze. Noah focuses on her tasks and reminds herself that work is a boundary she can enforce. Still, she cannot ignore that Simon's interest carries power because he controls her opportunities, her schedule, and the room she is trying to survive in. Meanwhile, Nick tries to bury himself in deals and strategy, but he keeps circling back to the memory of Noah's touch at the wedding. Sophia senses distance even when Nick pretends everything is normal. Jenna and Lynn move into newlywed life, unaware that their celebration has reignited a storm between friends. By the end, the film positions Noah between a new admirer who wants to claim space in her future and an old love that refuses to release her, setting up the next chapter's collisions. Nick's business world keeps moving even as his private life grows more tangled. After returning from Jenna's wedding week, he pushes his executives toward a risky new plan, arguing that the fastest way to stabilize revenue is to invest in an emerging AI company with metaverse ambitions. The idea sounds bold in the conference room, the Dario Confres in the confusher, but the mood shifts when fresh numbers arrive, showing their company's share value sliding day after day. The market is losing confidence. Analysts are writing gloomy notes, and board members are quietly calculating who to blame if the fall continues. Nick feels the pressure building in a way that makes his usual calm look more like a mask than a trait. He looks for a lever that can change perception quickly, and he finds that lever in Sophia. She is not only his personal lawyer and partner, but also the daughter of a prominent politician whose campaign depends on image, connections, and momentum. Nick realizes that if their relationship becomes public, it can create a wave of attention that benefits both sides. The politician gains a polished, high society glow and a younger demographic's curiosity, while Nick's company gains headlines that suggest stability, influence, and a future tied to power. Sophia likes the idea, partly because it helps her father and partly because she has wanted recognition as more than a silent figure in Nick's shadow. Their decision is both personal and strategic, and it immediately changes how outsiders look at them. They announce the relationship with carefully staged photos and timed press. The strategy works almost immediately. News outlets pick up the story, online discussion rises, and the company's stock begins to climb. Support for Sophia's father strengthens as well, as if the relationship has become a small campaign engine. Nick watches the numbers improve and tells himself it is business, yet he cannot ignore that he has turned romance into a public instrument. The choice gives him control in one arena while he still feels powerless in another, because Noah remains the thought he cannot manage, the person who can disrupt his composure without lifting a finger. While Nick is selling confidence to the world, Noah is building a new routine inside Simon's office. She and Simon spend long hours together, working, teasing each other, and sharing small personal details in between deadlines. Simon's attraction is clear, and he tries to move faster than Noah is ready for. He kisses her once, testing whether she will let him claim a place in her life, but Noah pulls back and asks for time. She does not want to rush into something that might only be a reaction to heartbreak and loneliness. Simon accepts the pause, at least on the surface, and shifts back into professional charm, as if patience itself is another way to win. One morning, Simon tells the staff that investors will visit, and the office turns energetic as people tidy desks, rehearse presentations, and imagine new funding. Noah joins in the mood, trying to keep her mind on work instead of on what she still feels for Nick. The investors arrive, and the air changes instantly when Nick walks in. He is there in an official capacity, but his presence carries history. Noah is stunned, and Simon is confused at first, until he realizes that Nick and Noah recognize each other in a way that goes far beyond casual familiarity. The room becomes a stage where everyone senses a hidden story without knowing its details. Nick introduces Noah as his stepsister, using the label "like a wall." He signals Simon to keep distance and warns him indirectly with cold politeness. Simon bristles at being controlled in his own company, yet he also senses that Nick's warning is driven by jealousy rather than professionalism. Nick, observing Noah's closeness with Simon, understands that something is growing between them, and the realization burns. He does not confront it openly in front of staff, but his need to dominate the situation starts shaping his decisions, turning investment into leverage and policy into punishment. As the days pass, Nick and Sophia continue benefiting from their announcement. Their faces appear in magazines and online posts. The rising share price becomes a constant reminder that the public narrative is working, even if the private truth is calm. Noah sees a glossy photo of Nick and Sophia together while she is with Jenna, and the image hits her harder than she expects. It makes her feel replaced, and it reopens anger she thought she had buried. In the same moment, she notices Michael nearby, and the coincidence feels like fate pressing two old problems together. She approaches him, hoping for clarity, hoping for closure, and finding only sharpness. Michael refuses to engage at first, then finally erupts with bitterness. He blames Noah for the collapse of his life and begs her not to mention their encounter to Nick. The pain in his reaction leaves Noah unsettled. She suspects that legal consequences have been aimed at Michael because of something connected to her, and she cannot accept the idea that someone else is suffering for her mistake. She calls Sophia, demanding. Sophia admits that legal steps were taken against Michael and describes them as necessary and justified, actions meant to protect Nick's family and reputation. Noah insists that if she made the mistake, punishment should not be shifted onto someone else, and she pressures Sophia to read. The call ends with no comfort, only the sense that power is always choosing its own outcomes. Soon, Noah visits her stepfather's house, where family dynamics are complex but still familiar. She sees the adults, then meets Maggie, her younger half-sister, who lives mostly with her mother but visits often. Noah and Maggie share an easy bond, and Noah becomes protective, treating Maggie like a small anchor in a world that keeps shifting. Nick is there too, and he cannot resist criticizing Noah for working under Simon while allowing personal feelings to blur boundaries. Noah rejects the lecture. She reminds Nick that in that house he is family, not her boss, and she refuses to surrender her choices to his control. Nick listens, but his expression suggests he will try anyway, because control has become his default defense. Nick decides to enforce his influence in the one place he can. He goes to Simon's office and uses his position as an investor to announce a strict policy discouraging workplace relationships. He frames it as a productivity rule meant to keep work clean, but the timing makes his motive obvious. Simon pushes back, furious that Nick is imposing moral rules in a company he does not run day to day, yet Nick insists the policy is required for growth and stability. Noah understands immediately that the rule is designed to separate her from Simon. She visits Simon at home, and the two argue about what Nick is capable of doing next. Simon tries to reassure her that the company means less to him than she does, but Noah sees the danger in that statement. She fears Nick will keep tightening the circle until she is forced to choose between love and livelihood. Interference goes further. Cameras are installed throughout Simon's office, allowing Nick to watch the workplace like a private theater. He catches moments of tension between Simon and Noah and feels satisfaction, believing he is breaking their connection. Noah eventually confronts Nick directly with a resignation letter. She says she cannot stay in an environment where her personal life is being policed, especially when Nick himself is publicly tied to Sophia. Nick claims the situation is not what Noah thinks, yet he avoids admitting the full truth that the relationship announcement is largely a public strategy. He steps closer, as if physical proximity can replace honesty, but Noah points out the cameras and the surveillance, forcing him to face the ugliness of his own methods. A heavier crisis arrives through Maggie's mother. When Noah takes Maggie for a visit, Nick's mother arrives and asks to speak privately. She reveals that she has advanced blood cancer and does not have much time left. She plans to transfer Maggie's custody to Maggie's father because she can no longer care for her. Nick is shaken, and Noah witnesses the news with empathy. She wants to support Nick, and when Maggie is brought to their home, Noah helps create stability for the child with gentle routines, food, bedtime comfort, and quiet reassurance. That night, Nick cannot bear sulk. He asks Noah to stay near him, not as a public performance, but as a human need. Noah agrees, even though she knows it will blur lines again. Grief softens their defenses, and closeness returns with a force that neither of them can fully control. And by morning, Noah is gone. Nick wakes to emptiness and feels abandoned, and Maggie explains that Noah left early. Noah walks through the day feeling conflicted, because Nick wanted her and pushed her away, needed her and denied her. Then she begins bleeding and rushes to the hospital, terrified that something is wrong. A doctor examines her and confirms that she is pregnant, and not newly so. The pregnancy is already 3 to 4 months along. Noah is stunned, realizing the timeline reaches back to the wedding week, when her unresolved love for Nick pulled her into an intimate reunion. She feels fear, shame, and a strange protective instinct all at once, and she struggles to breathe through the news. Michael is in the hospital and notices pieces of what is happening. He does not hear every word clearly, but suspicion sharpens his attention. Using access and opportunity, opportunity, he digs into records and confirms the truth. Noah is pregnant, and Nick is the father. The discovery gives Michael leverage, and he reaches for it because he feels cornered. He approaches Sophia and threatens to expose the pregnancy unless the legal action against him is withdrawn. Sophia panics because scandal could destroy Nick's company, undermine her father's campaign, and reveal the relationship announcement as manipulation rather than romance. She does not know whether to protect herself, protect Nick, or protect the fragile balance they have built on public attention. Soon, a major party is held where Nick and Sophia meet with the Metaverse AI company and finalize investment discussions. The event is designed to display power and stability, filled with bright lights and carefully chosen guests. Sophia watches Nick closely, trying to understand what still exists between him and Noah. Noah attends as part of the professional network, and the two women exchange polite conversation with sharp undertones. Sophia hints that some truths cannot be told to Nick, suggesting she knows more than she should, and implying that silence can be both protection and threat. Nick and Noah cross paths, and Nick notices Noah looks unwell. He takes her home, not knowing the real cause, only sensing that she is fragile and that he cannot ignore her without hating himself. Noah asks again for forgiveness and a future, but Nick remains stuck in the old wound of their breakup. He cannot offer easy pardon, and he withdraws, leaving Noah with the painful knowledge that love can exist without healing. Not long after, Nick's mother dies. The funeral draws friends and family into shared grief. Noah focuses on caring for Maggie, who is confused and heartbroken, and Noah becomes the steady adult in the child's orbit. The image of Noah nurturing Maggie makes Nick's loss sharper and his longing deeper. Sophia confronts Noah privately and reveals that she knows about the pregnancy and that the baby is Nick. She warns Noah that if Nick refuses responsibility, Noah should leave to protect herself and the child from chaos, scandal, and manipulation. Noah is terrified and exhausted, but she decides to go. Before leaving, she speaks tenderly with Maggie, promising that if she ever returns, she will still make space for Maggie's comfort. She gives Maggie a sense that love can remain even when adults make complicated choices. Nick's relationship with Sophia unravels as well. He tells her that separating is the right choice and that their public arrangement cannot continue forever. Sophia refuses to let him pretend he is brave. She accuses him of fearing his father's judgment, fearing public opinion, and fearing forgiveness. Her words strike deep because they point directly at his inability to resolve his feelings for Noah. Nick retreats into silence again, unable to argue with the truth that he has been using control as a shield against vulnerability. Michael, meanwhile, expects the legal pressure against him to ease, but it does not. His problems deepen, and his desperation grows. At the hospital, he encounters a woman named Briar, connected to the circle of power around Nick's family and hungry for her own advantage. Michael believes she can help him turn chaos into opportunity. Together, they form a plan that combines blackmail, revenge, and theft, aiming not only to hurt Nick, but to take something that will force obedience. As Noah prepares to leave town, Nick arrives to stop her. He still does not know the pregnancy is his, and Noah hides her belly with careful posture. Under the weight of everything, she reveals the truth. Nick misunderstands and assumes the baby belongs to Simon. He insists that even if it is Simon's child, he can accept it, a statement meant as devotion but heard as insult because it shows he still does not see the reality in front of him. Noah storms away, driving fast with emotion, shaking her hands. She stops to steady herself, and for a moment the world quiets, as if giving her space to choose her next step. Then violence erupts. A man appears and shoots Nick before fleeing. Noah is horrified, convinced she has lost him. Nick is taken to the hospital and falls into a coma that lasts for months. During that time, Noah carries the pregnancy alone, facing fear, medical appointments, and the constant uncertainty of whether Nick will ever wake. She gives birth to a small child and learns how to be a mother while still feeling like a person whose own life is suspended. When Nick finally regains consciousness, he is disoriented by the missing months and shocked by how much has changed. He sees the baby and feels relief and gratitude that Noah endured everything without him, even while he remained unconscious. One night, still weak from recovery, Nick notices the baby is missing from the room. Panic floods him. Briar has taken the child and intends to leave with it, treating the baby like leverage and property. Nick cannot fight properly in his condition. He tries to call for help, but strength and coordination fail him. Michael is there with Briar, revealing that the kidnapping is part of his scheme. Noah confronts them, but she is outmatched physically and emotionally. The situation feels close to hopeless until a dog intervenes, blocking Briar's escape and creating chaos in the hallway. The dog's sudden attack disrupts Michael, knocking him down and preventing him from controlling Noah. Noah uses the moment to grab her baby back. Police arrive in time to stop the escape and arrest both Michael and Briar. The immediate danger ends, leaving Nick and Noah shaken but alive, holding their child as proof that survival sometimes depends on luck and loyal instinct as much as planning. Later, investigators connect the shooter to Michael's pressure campaign, and hearings force the conspiracy into daylight, including the blackmail, the kidnapping plan, and the office surveillance, until charges are filed and fear loosens. With Michael detained, the court also reviews the earlier university reports, the threatened lawsuits, and the misuse of medical access, revealing how resentment escalated into criminal planning and how easily reputations can be weaponized. Aligned after the crisis, life finally turns toward peace. Nick recovers more fully, and he and Noah choose commitment rather than fear. They marry in a ceremony attended by friends, with Jenna present and supportive. Even Sophia appears, genuinely relieved that the conflict has resolved without destroying everyone involved. The film closes on Nick and Noah leaving together in Nick's favorite car, with Noah driving because Nick is still healing, and the road ahead symbolizing a future they will now face as a family